Okay, Professor Jim Schultz here from my Finance 512 class. I wanted to go ahead and do this options video, kind of showing you guys how to take a look at. Let's go ahead and get this guy off the screen. Kind of showing you guys how to take a look at option quotes and the bid, the ask, different strikes, all that kind of stuff. But I did want to go ahead and mention it is June 24th. Let's check out the internet here. Hey, how about hey, score one for the shorts today? How about that? The market didn't look so hot today, and Carl Icahn successfully tweeted out the top in Netflix. Netflix did open up around 700. I think it hit a high of maybe 707, and then Carl Icahn, who is a billionaire investor, if you don't know who that is, he went ahead and tweeted out that he sold all of his Netflix, and so Carl Icahn knows that he can move the market, and so I find it kind of laughable that he took it upon himself to tweet out that he was getting rid of his Netflix position. And Netflix is now, let's see, Netflix is down here, 678. So Netflix actually closed down on the day, which is pretty amazing, and I think you have Carl Icahn to blame for that. But anyway, nice little day for my portfolio. Nothing too crazy, nothing too fancy, but obviously a drop in the marketplace is going to be good for my short positions. But that's not the purpose of this video. The purpose of this video is to take a look at some of these option quotes. So let's go ahead and do that. So the first thing you want to do when you get into your software here is click on the Trade tab, and then let's go to Apple, because Apple is, I think Apple might be the most actively traded stock in the world. So let's go ahead and take a look at that, AAPL. Okay. So when you click on Apple, you guys have already done this before. If you were going to buy or sell Apple, you would go ahead and click on the bid or the ask. Okay. Well, right underneath that, you see this option chain, right? And it might look like that depending on how your software is set up and where you left off last. But all you have to do to kind of maximize that option chain window is click on this blue arrow. So now it gives you all the different, all the available contracts right now in terms of expiration. Alright, so here's what I want to point out to you guys. Anything that you see in red is a, let's call it a special option contract. So it's not your standard monthly third Friday expiration, 100 shares per contract. It's not going to be one of those. It's either going to be a weekly contract or it's going to be what is called a mini contract, which a weekly contract, those guys expire every single Friday. So, for example, if you look at this, this is a June 4, 2015 weekly contract. That means it expires on the 4th Friday in June, which does happen to be this coming Friday. And it actually tells you how many days until the last trading day, which is only 2. So I don't want you guys trading any of these red guys because we need to learn the basics first. We'll leave that for a future project. I want you guys to focus on anything that is shaded in gray is going to be your standard monthly contract. So right now, you've got the July 15, 23. Don't trade the minis. Just trade the standard 100 shares per contract. Okay? This is July. This is the next possible month that you can trade. The June contract has already expired because the third Friday in June has already passed us by. So the next available month you can trade is July. In the options world, we would call this the front month. So the front month in the options world right now is July. The month following the front month is August. We would call that the back month in the world of options. So you have the front month and the back month. You can trade either one of those if you want to right now. It really doesn't matter. If you're just starting out with options, as I assume many of you are, I would encourage all of you guys to just go ahead and trade in the front month only, just because it'll make things much simpler and much cleaner for learning how things operate. So let's go ahead and open up this front month here, and obviously you're met with a plethora of information. So here's I'm only going to point out a couple of these, because a couple pieces of info here, enough to get you started, because there's a lot of stuff here that I'm going to get into in future videos when we start getting into some of the advanced strategic stuff that we're going to kind of take a look at next week. The first thing I want to point out is you get to choose the number of strikes that you want to look at on the screen. So I have 45 set up. That's just because I was looking at Apple earlier and I wanted to look at, more than a few strikes. For most of what you want to do, I would only look at maybe about 20 strikes or so. That is going to be plenty for anything that you guys want to do. And the differences from one strike to the next will actually make a lot more sense next week. After we kind of talk a little bit more about that. We didn't get far enough last night to really get too deep into, the various strikes and the properties and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so you can change how many strikes you want to look at. I would recommend maybe about 20. Okay, the next thing I want to point out is this. If you look in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, you will see the current quote of Apple. So Apple closed today at about 128. So that means the 128 options are going to be the at-the-money options, okay? So the way the Thinkorswim software is set up is you have all your strikes and your expirations rolling down the center. On the right side are all the puts. On the left side are all the calls, okay? So we started to talk about the difference between calls and puts in class last night, all right? Just starting out, here's what I would recommend each and every one of you guys do. Only trade in the front month and only trade the at-the-money option for right now. Okay, so if you want to do an options trade right now, I would recommend, just to make things simple, right? You're not married to this idea, and it's going to change when we meet next Tuesday. But if you want to do any trades, tomorrow or Friday or even Monday or Tuesday before we meet, to make your life a lot easier, I would recommend just trading the at-the-money option. Now, it's not going to be perfect. It doesn't have to be exact, right? So this is not 128 on the nose, but it's close enough to where the 128 option is going to be, the option that I would suggest each and every one of you guys take a look at. So if you want to buy the 128 call, then you're going to be on this side, right? And you can see, here's the bid and here's the ask for the 128 call. Can I highlight that? Yeah, there we go. There's the bid and the ask for the 128 call. So you can see in an underlying like Apple, that's an extremely tight marketplace because the difference between the bid and the ask is only a few cents. And in the options world, you won't typically find penny-wide increments in options. Sometimes you will, but usually it's more like 2 or 3 cents in the most liquid underlyings. So right now, if you want to buy, a 128 call in Apple for July, you're going to pay somewhere between $225 and $229, depending on whether or not you use a market order, limit order, or a marketable limit order. So if you're bullish on Apple, you might want to buy this call. If you're bearish on Apple, you might want to buy this put. Whoop, I don't want to do that just yet. You might want to buy this put, right? But as we learned in class last night, if you're bearish on Apple, you could also sell this call, right? So that will be another way to play out a bearish hypothesis. Now, we didn't get this far, but you can probably reasonably deduce where we're going next with the short put. If you're bullish on Apple, you could buy this call or you could sell this put. Now, which should you do? Well, we're going to explore that in a lot of detail next week, but I kind of left you guys with, hey, the people who make money in options trading are the option sellers, not the option buyers. And I will explain in great detail why that is next class. But for right now, I would encourage you guys to experiment with both. Buy some options and sell some options. Be on both sides of that marketplace just to kind of get a feel for what's going on. Now, so let's say that you're going to buy an option. Now, I think I go through this a little bit in the other video that I already have, but let's go ahead and take a look at this again. So if you want to buy a call, just click on the ask price on the 128 call. And as I said in class, it defaults to 10 contracts. I would not do 10 contracts. I would do like 1 contract. So you're going to buy one July 28 call in Apple. Same rules apply in terms of market orders, limit orders, stop orders. But now, remember, this number is pointing back to this price, not the price of the stock. It's pointing to the price of the option. Okay? Much like I did with stock orders, I would encourage you guys trading options to just do market orders to start with, just because it's simpler. Much like I said with stocks, I never use market orders anymore. I only use limit orders. The same thing goes with options. I never, ever, ever use a market order in the options world. And the reason why is because the spreads in the options world sometimes are quite large. 10 cents, 15 cents, 20 cents. Now that's per share, and there's 100 shares per contract, right? So if you start using market orders and you're constantly paying the ask, or there's slippage, or you're constantly selling the bid, or there's slippage, you're gonna, those additional costs are going to add up over time, and it's going to make a big difference on your bottom line at the end of the year. So I'm much more comfortable, and many other traders feel the same way, controlling my entry and exit prices with limit orders, because the options market can be kind of wide at times, and it's just a better way to trade in general. But for you guys just learning, your first couple trades, I would do market orders, just because you'll get immediate fills, and that's obviously good. And the only other thing I want to say in this video is, so let's say you do a limit order, right? Let's say that you want to buy. Let's say that you want to buy this call, this 128 call, for 229. Okay. Well, actually, let's go ahead and say the markets are closed right now, so I can't do this. But let's go ahead and say that you buy this call. Okay, so let's say it's kind of after the fact. You have purchased this call for 229. Okay, so now how are you going to make money? Well, you're going to make money if the stock price goes up above the strike price, right? You're going to make money if the stock price exceeds 128. So if it climbs to 128.50, 129, 129.50, and so on and so forth, that's how you're going to make money. But here's one thing I want to make you aware of, and this is an extension off of what we learned in class the other night. So the other night, we talked about figuring out how much money you make on an options position, right? And if you so take this 128 call. Like if I would have said to you, okay, if you own this 128 call and the stock price is 130 at expiration, then how much money would you make? Well, or what would be, how much money would you make? Well, the option would be worth $2 of intrinsic value, right? And so you would have $2 of intrinsic value less the cost of the option, okay? Well, what I want to make aware to you guys, if you put on any options positions, is this. What you might notice is if the stock moves to 130 like tomorrow, you're not at expiration. So are you going to be up $2? Are you only going to be up the $2 less the cost of the option that you paid? The answer is no. You're actually going to be up more than that. And the reason why is because there's still time left until expiration. So, there's a lot more behind the scenes there that we're going to talk about next week. But I just want to introduce you guys to this idea that, hey, if the stock moves by $2, your options position might not move by exactly $2. If the stock if it falls by $5, it doesn't mean that your options position is going to go up or down by exactly $5 if you're not at expiration yet, because you still have that time variable in play, and that is one of the most important factors for options positions. Okay, so that's kind of a lead-in to some of the things we're going to talk about next week. So I really hope this video was helpful for you guys, and it kind of gives you kind of a framework to take a look at some of these option quotes. And let's hope for another down day tomorrow, so we can score another one for the shorts. So I'll see you guys next time.